Hello everyone, welcome back on the channel. Our today's topic is related to a very important topic in the international trade, that is Incoterms. So I will explain in today's video what are the Incoterms and why these are important when you are dealing with international trade. So in this video you will learn in a very simple way about the Incoterms, what are Incoterms, how it can be used, and a total understanding about this Incoterms topic. Whether you are an importer, exporter, or involved in the logistic activities, or a student who is going to learn for the purpose of the global trade, or you want to understand Incoterm. So today's topic is very important to you because no one can deny the importance of Incoterms while you are dealing with the international trade. So these are the rules which make the standardization of the rules and responsibilities and the risk for the buyers and sellers because they are staying in different countries, so they have never met in physical, only by way of communication they are communicating. So the buyer is in a country and seller is in other country. So how to make standardization of the risk responsibility, how to define, so these has been defined clearly in the Incoterms. So now let's see the Incoterms, a complete overview on this. So today, as I tell you, we will tell you about the Incoterms. The current version is 2020 and it is a complete guide to learners. What are the Incoterms? So the definition of Incoterms is given as the international commercial terms. These are the international commercial terms when you deal in the foreign trade, and the international chambers of commerce, they have standardized these terms. So the Incoterms conditions are issued by the International Chamber of Commerce. In short, you can say ICC. And they publish it in 31 languages across world. What is the purpose of Incoterms? The purpose of Incoterm is to clarify buyer and seller responsibilities. So, what are the responsibility of the buyers and what are the responsibility of seller? These are clearly defined in Incoterms. And what is the risk transfers? When the buyer transfer the risk from seller and when the seller transfer the risk to buyer, it is decided by the Incoterm which type of Incoterm you are using, and it determines the cost of acquisition also, transport, insurance and customs, everything is defined by the Incoterms. So purpose, you can see it is very clear, and it defines delivery term also. Other terms should be aligned with the Incoterms like payment, transport, loading, unloading, handling. So whatever Incoterm you have choose, so other payment terms or transport terms or loading unloading terms of your contract, you have to uh, make them in sync with the Incoterm. Otherwise, there will be a conflict. And the Incoterms are updated in every 10 year by the International Chamber of Commerce, and the current version applicable is 2020. Now you can see a chart of the Incoterm 2020. It shows you the different type of Incoterms, and the seller is responsible up to what place and the buyer takes the risk at which place. Very easily it is shown in this chart. For an example, if you see the X works Incoterms, so in X works Incoterms, you agree at a place which is a factory of the seller. So you agree to take the delivery from the factory of the seller. So seller risk ends here and buyer risk start from here. So generally we mention the X works factory of so and so company and the city also. The other term, if you can see FCA, it is free carrier. So in this term, you see that you agree to take a delivery at a agreed place. It means from seller's factory, the seller will transport the good at your place. If you can see through the chart, you just see here. Here in the X works, the delivery is taken from the factory of the seller. But in the FCA Incoterm, the delivery is taken at a agreed place between buyer and seller. So seller transport the good up to the place of agreement. In another FAS Incoterm, you see free alongside ship. So here the seller transports the goods up to the ship alongside ship, which is a port of loading, and the seller responsibility ends here and risk ends here, and the buyer's risk start here. You see this FOB, free on board. So on board, you just see this here. On board, the seller will load the consignment on that particular port, and his risk end there, and buyer's risk start here. The red area is the area where the buyer's risk is started. Cost and freight, CFR. So you just see the cost and freight is paid by the seller up to the airport or seaport of a particular port of destination. Like that, you see in CPT, the seller is transferring the goods to the buyer, and buyer is having a less risk. And in CIP, DPU, and in DDP and DAP, you just see the seller risk is more and buyer risk is less. In comparison of X works, where the seller risk is less and buyer risk is more. In DDP, the seller risk is high but buyer risk is low. So the cost of the consignment also vary from Incoterm to Incoterm because seller charge accordingly. Just see this chart. I hope it is clear. I will define these terms later on in the coming slide. So why Incoterms are important to us? It is important to us while we are dealing in international trade because it avoids the misunderstanding in the contract. Buyer and seller, they understand the both meaning, whatever the terms of delivery, where the risk start for seller and for buyer, and where the risk end for them also. So there is no misunderstanding. It is very clear cut understanding. So it avoids misunderstanding also in the international contract. Since there is less misunderstanding, so it reduces the legal dispute also because the same thing is understood by both of the party in the same sense. So it reduces the legal disputed also, and it ensures smooth logistic and cost control. So whoever is the agencies or officials involved in the logistic charts or import and exports, so they are very well understanding this Incoterms, and it helps them for smooth transportation and logistic and cost control while the consignment is moving in the supply chain. So it ensures smooth logistic also for them. And these terms are also used in invoicing, issuing contracts, purchase order, and letter of credit. So these are the internationally accepted, agreed, and used terms in this clear sense without any ambiguity. So this is the reason the officials dealing with import and export, they use Incoterms. And as I told you that Incoterms are changed in every 10 years. Last version was 2010. Now the current version is 2020. So what is new between 2010 to 2020? Here you can see the D80 term is changed to DPU. D80 term was delivered at terminal. So it is changed to delivered at place unloaded. So this is a change in the Incoterm 2020. The other you can see free carrier. Free carrier now allows bills of lading with onboard notations. Earlier, these things was not there. So now they updated these terms. So now they allow bills of lading also with onboard notations. Next is CIP versus CIP. So higher insurance coverage required. So this is the change they have mentioned. And clear security related obligations. So the whatever the obligation related to security and smooth transportation in customs, so it is been clearly defined by this 2020 version. Now you see there are different categories or group of the Incoterms. Total there are 11 Incoterms, 7 and 4. There these are in two groups. 7 are related to any transport mode. You can see which are those, and 4 are related to sea and inland waterways. So you just see any transport mode, whatever Incoterms we can use: X-Works, FCA, CPT, CIP, DAP, DPU, and DDP. These are the terms you can use in any transport mode. And for sea and inland waterways, you can use FAS, FOB, CFR, and CIP. And generally, some people make their group with their alphabets also. So one alphabet is E, other is F, C, and D. There are four grouped by their alphabets. E is used for experts, and in F group there is FCA, free carrier, free alongside ship, and free on board. C is CFR, CIP, CIF, CPT, and D is DAF, DES, DEQ, DDU, and DDP. So by the alphabet name, some people group them in this way, and this here you can see that in any transport mode you can use 7 terms, and for water and sea you can use these 4 terms. So these are the categories of total Incoterms. Most commonly used Incoterms are free on board. It is very popular in sea shipment. So what happens in this? The seller dispatches the goods and upload it on the port, unload it on the port. They provide the buyer the goods on the port. So this is very popularly used terms in ship. Other is CIF, cost, insurance, and freight. So seller cover the freight and insurance also. So generally these Incoterms are used with the name of port or airport, seaport or airport. So suppose CIF New Delhi. So the consignment is covering the cost up to the New Delhi airport. So whoever is involved in the customs, logistic chain, international freight transportation, they know very well that this shipment is having a cost paid up to this New Delhi airport. So generally these Incoterms are used with the name of port, some ports and version. Other is DDP, delivered duty paid. Seller handles everything in this case, including customs. So it is very secure terms for buyer, but it increases your cost also. You have to see whatever is the cost you are incurring in case you decide for a different terms. So just compare cost between the Incoterms and risk and take decision as per your organization policy. Other is X works. There are some buyers who don't bother to ship the shipment up to the delivers and deliver them up to the buyer's location. So there are some sellers who say that you take the material from us in case of X work terms, and you take it from our factory, and responsibility is yours for transporting it to your site. So X work term is generally used for taking the material from factory. Choosing right Incoterms. So for buyers, generally they prefer FOB, free on board, X works, more control, lower cost. Some people they have their international supply chain or freight forwarding and consolidation agreements. So through their own channel of those agreed partners, they move the consignment. So generally FOB, CIP, and X works they use it. For seller generally prefers CIP, DDP. More convenient, higher pricing for buyer. It is more convenient for seller, but higher pricing for buyer. Risk appetite. Who should bear the transport risk? Whoever is bearing the transport risk, he is having more risk. So transportation can, during the transportation, the consignment can damage. So as per the Incoterms, who is bearing the transportation risk? He is bearing the risk of damaging the consignment, and he obviously increases the cost also. Customs knowledge, who handles the import duties. Custom people also know very well what are the meaning and terminology used by these Incoterms, and they handles this across world on airport and seaport accordingly. They understand very well what is its meaning. Here we will discuss what are the common mistakes with Incoterms. Generally, people misunderstand and do these common mistakes. So what they do, they use outdated terms like Incoterms 2010. So when the current version is applicable, you always use the latest version number with the Incoterm. I will give you example. If you are going to use CIP Incoterm, so use CIP New Delhi, India, and Incoterm version 2010 in your contract. In your contract, you can define the version. You always define the latest version. Current version is Incoterm 2020. So here I will discuss about you what are the common mistakes which the people who are dealing with the Incoterms they do. So generally what they do, they use the outdated terminology in their contract agreement. So always use the latest version terminology. So using the Incoterms 2010 is wrong because it will be misunderstood in the logistic chain and freight forwarding and consolidations. Always use the latest version Incoterm 2020 wherever you are using in your contract or wherever in the other documents. Not specifying exact location. Sometimes the peoples are not specifying the exact location where the consignment will reach. So if you are going to order consignment up to Mumbai, you want that your seller deliver the shipment up to Mumbai airport in India. So you mention in your Incoterms, the Incoterm is FCA Mumbai port. So the seller will deliver you the goods up to the Mumbai port, and his risk will end there and your risk will start from here, and he will charge you the transportation cost from his country to Mumbai port. He will charge you. So always use the port or seaport name with the Incoterm. Some people always or generally they assume that insurance is always included, but insurance is included in case of CIP only and CIF only, and that's why in other Incoterms it is not used. So don't misunderstood that Incoterms is all Incoterms is having the insurance. Only CIP and CIF these are having insurance. Ignoring local regulations. Some country restrict certain terms. So this you should also know that in which country you are going to ship or from where you are going to buy, what are their export or import regulations. So who are the officials of your organization? They should know that the local regulation also. If any restrictions is there, so deal according to that. I will give some practical example. Just you can see in this slide, shipment is moving from USA New York to Mumbai, India. So scenario, buying electronics from New York, USA to Mumbai, India. And what Incoterm we will use? We will use FOB New York, USA. What does it mean? The seller will supply the consignment on free on board on New York seaport in USA. So his responsibility ends there when he delivers the goods on the seaport of New York in USA, and the buyer responsibility start here. So buyer should have an arrangement of the freight consolidation to pick the material from New York seaport to Mumbai seaport. This arrangement buyer should have through their freight consolidators, and the seller's duty deliver good to New York USA seaport, clear them for export customs also. It is also duty of seller that they clear the consignment from export angle. What is buyer's duty here? Arrange shipment from New York seaport to Mumbai port, JNPT. He pays the freight, he handle the customs in India, and then he inland transport the goods to his factory. So these are the duty of buyers and sellers, and what Incoterms you should use. So it is a practical example. You can see here. So I hope you have an idea what are the Incoterms, why they are being used, why we should not misunderstood this. So if any one of you have any comment, or if you want me to make in detail video on each Incoterm, please give in your comment in comment box. And if you also think that we should make video on some particular topic, please mention in comment also. We will try to make the video on your desired topic. And subscribe the channel also, so that when we upload video, you get the information about this. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time.